What is going on, people? A boxing video. This one talking about Romero versus Ismael Barroso. A bizarre fight last night and a very controversial stoppage, to say the least. To say that that was a quick stoppage would be an understatement. First, I want to talk about the fight itself. So Romero, he's fighting against Ismael Barroso. Barroso's a fill-in opponent because Puello, he failed the drug test. Can't blame that on Rolly. Rolly came to fight. He did what he was supposed to do. As they're doing the ring walks, everyone on Twitter, and myself included, is thinking, this guy, Barroso, looks like he's 57 years old. He comes in there, he's 40, whatever. Rolly gets in there, they fight. Here we go. Now, Rolly has he's very strong. He's got a Cuban build. They got thick bone density. Their muscle build is very different than other people. They have the, thickest bone structure, if any people. And you see it with other fighters like Luis Ortiz or Dennis Ugas, Rigondeaux. A lot of the Cuban fighters, they have that build. Frank Sanchez as well. But Rolly Romero, when I'm watching this fight, he's, first round, whatever. I thought he lost. No one really did anything. Second round, whatever. Maybe he won. Then in the third round, he pulls straight back and he gets hit with that straight left hand. And the problem with Rolly Romero is that he doesn't counterpunch. So when you don't counterpunch and the opponent knows you're not going to counterpunch, they can lunge in and drop you, and you're not going to be able to make them pay. And the really big problem for Rolly is he's not a good defensive fighter and he's not a counterpuncher. It's going to be tough if you are both of those things. If you are not a good defensive fighter but you can counterpunch, okay, you could keep guys off you. If you are not a great counterpuncher but you are a good defensive fighter, you could stay out of trouble. But if you don't have either, it's going to be very difficult to win at this level. And even versus a guy like Barroso, who's not a top fighter, he's still good enough where he's going to make you pay for that. Then he drops him. I'm like, wow. He's winning most of the rounds. Some of the rounds, you could have either way. I had Barroso up by a few rounds up until that point. But then we get into the ninth round, and Rolly starts doing better. He hurts Barroso. He drops Barroso. It was really a push down. And I said it right when it happened. I said that's not a knockdown. He pushed him down with the right hand. Tony Weeks, he sees that. He calls it a knockdown. Okay, refs make that mistake sometimes when it comes to a push down or a knockdown. If you remember with the Teofimo Lopez-Sandor Martin fight, he ruled it a push down by Sandor Martin. Some people thought it was a knockdown. I thought it was a push down, but it's whatever. It's a gray area. After looking at the replay, it looked pretty clearly like a push down, but I can understand how Weeks could have made that mistake. But then they are throwing punches. They are trading, and Rolly Romero is throwing punch after punch after punch, and Barroso too. And I'm not exaggerating here. I don't think one of them landed. Not one of them landed. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is interesting. How's this fight going to play out? And then out of nowhere, he comes in there Weeks. He's like, fight's over, stopped. And you hear Al Bernstein and Moreno like, what? What? They stopped the fight? I thought it was one of the weirdest stoppages in the history of boxing. He was not hurt. And then what's even weirder is, even afterwards, Barroso's like, okay, whatever. And it just made me think, was this a setup? And I hate saying that, but all the people that say boxing is rigged, a lot of times me and other people, we push back and say it's not rigged. But after last night, it's going to be hard to argue that there isn't some kind of favoritism in boxing when it comes to these big-name fighters. And the fact that they called that a stoppage was bizarre. And it could be Rolly would have come back and knocked him out in the 10th, 11th, and 12th round. It is possible. But up until that point, he was up on all three scorecards, Barroso. He was only up by 1 point on one of the scorecards, which was a little bit interesting to me. But he was up on all three cards and probably would have won the fight. So now we look at Rolly Romero. He gets lucky. He gets to live on another day. He gets another big fight at 140. What is that going to be? First of all, when you look at Rolly Romero, his career is getting a robbery victory versus Jackson Marinas, getting knocked out by Tank, and this victory, which is basically a robbery in my opinion as well. So that's your career. Gervonta Davis's resume keeps looking worse and worse when you really break it down. What does Rolly Romero do next? I think a Tank rematch is not happening. I think the next course of action has to be the fight against Ryan Garcia. It's the perfect fight for Ryan to get back in there at 140, fight a guy who has a name and talks a little bit. be a pay-per-view fight, why not? So yeah, I would want to see a Ryan Garcia Rolly Romero fight. I'll probably buy it. But if he can't do that, I want to see Rolly fight that guy, Kenneth Sims. I like the way he was talking after the fight. He's like, I'm a savage, I'm a dog, and his eye was busted up too. He's cool. And honestly, I think you probably have to favor Sims versus Rolly at this point. But let me know what you guys think. Who do you want to see Rolly fight next? And what do you think of the fight? Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Peace.